If you've been following the Burnout Diaries, you've heard me talk about the morning I thought I was having a heart attack. So, I really haven't shared too much about what life was like before that experience. So, this was before going to the hospital, before the diagnosis, before seeing the fear in my daughter's eyes, because there were some signs that I ignored. So I want to dedicate this episode to really talking about that point before collapse. So at the time, I was working 16-hour days. I was leading a team of 8, and I was managing like 500 client contracts and weekly invoicing. There were constant demands, there was constant pressure, and on paper, I was succeeding. But behind the performance, I was really just slowly unraveling. And it wasn't anything dramatic. I didn't have a big meltdown. I didn't miss any deliverables. It started off small with like skipping a lunch. And then there were nights here and there where I really couldn't sleep. And let's not forget about the fact that I would smile when I really was in pain. And there were some mornings when I get up early, I go to the office, be the first one there, and disabling the alarm. There were other days where I sit in my car looking at the dashboard and I would be dreading the fact that I would have to walk into them office doors. And when I did, my body would always feel really heavy. Like with each step I took going up to my office, it would be really trying. My chest would ache, my breath would be shallow, and I was tired. I was tired. And at that time, I didn't know it was called boundary fatigue, but I would later learn, shoot. And I just knew that I was experiencing some things that weren't just gonna disappear overnight. So I was constantly praised. I was the strong one. I was the one that was getting it done. But what people didn't necessarily see was the cost and the toll that it took on me. So they didn't see the weekends that I spent working, the late night hours, taking work home. They didn't see me skipping meals or the grief that I kept buried inside after losing the 8 loved ones in the matter of 6 years. And they didn't see how many times I said yes when I really wanted to say no, and every minute of that I dreaded, resented those words. And they didn't see me just showing up. And while I looked fine, it was a whole lot going on inside. They didn't see how I was pouring wine, drinking wine to sleep at night, just to to really just want to disappear, to forget my cares and my worries and my grief. They didn't see all of that. And I really couldn't afford to fall apart. I was a single mom. I couldn't afford to fall apart at work. I couldn't afford to fall apart at home. And I was the strong one of the family. And it was until that morning when my body gave out, when I climbed them stairs, and suddenly there was that tightness in my chest and being dizzy and just sweating profusely and my heart pounding, just this insane rhythm. And I thought to myself, am I really going to go out like this at work? And I shared with you before about how I had a coworker that showed up in an instance. It was truly a miracle, I would say, in her showing up and rushing me to the hospital. And after they took the blood, did the blood work, and ran the chest X-rays, can't get my words out, and they diagnosed me with walking pneumonia. So I learned that it just wasn't stress, but my body was fully exhausted. And I was in survival mode, but I was definitely crashing out. And here's what I want to share. So, from that, I want you to know that you don't have to experience that collapse to start your healing journey. And you don't have to be in a crisis to have your health matter. And you don't have to be broken. You don't have to look like you're broken to be burnt out. So, if you are functioning, but you're feeling numb. And if you're saying yes, when you resent that word, you resent them words, you resent saying no and obligating yourself. If you're doing everything for everyone and you are leaving nothing for yourself, baby, that is burnout. Burnout. And it's not even quiet. And it looks like you have it all together, but again, it could be that slow unraveling on the inside. And so, what helped me begin again? For me, I didn't come up with this elaborate plan of things to do. I just had one question that I started posing to myself, and it was, what is one small thing that I can do today to feel safe in my own body again? And for me, it was starting with small practices that I created for myself. It included, I created the intercom teacher, or what I refer to now as an intercom teacher. And I used that along with having tea. And so with that, it was a blend of different herbs. So it had bee pollen, um, gota, gota cola, hawthorn, valerian, peppermint. So those combinations of herbs really helped me to be able to regulate my nervous system in a sense of just help calm me down and relax me. And I had other practices that I did, and something that was really simple was just taking 5 minutes. 5 minutes to just focus on myself, whether that's just sitting in my chair and doing absolutely nothing. I didn't worry about fixing anything. I didn't check any emails, no phones. I wasn't watching TV, no electronics. Just 5 minutes to just sit, be still, into myself. And it sounds really small, but I promise you, this is very powerful. And you don't need permission to take breaks. You don't need permission to be soft. Just do it. And I would say everything is a recommendation. I can't tell you how to live your life. I can only share with you the things that have helped me along my path. And so today, I would want you to consider doing a few things. So, one, you might try journaling. So, taking a time and asking yourself, like, how did you show up for yourself today? So, I'm going to say that's your journal prompt that you can use. Just write one sentence, which would start with, today I showed up for myself by dot, 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 whatever you want to write. It could be another practice that could be used is drinking water or saying no. So practicing saying no and actually doing it, actually meaning it. So in an instance of where you want to say yes, nope, say no. Say no without guilt. Say no without judgment. Just do it. There is the practice of just taking a walk outside. No headphones, not having a destination, no phone, just simply walking outside and taking in clean air, listening to the birds chirp, or hey, it could be the traffic, whatever you hear outside, just being mindful and paying attention to those things and just soaking up that sun and that time away from everyday life. so to speak. You could do a body scan. So that is simply before you go to bed. Just lay down in your bed, relax your shoulders, unclench your jaws, and just notice what hurts and what doesn't hurt. So, another thing is you can prepare a nourishing meal, and it doesn't have to be anything extravagant, just something where you're intentionally preparing your meal for yourself at least once a week. And so these are not rules, these are just options that you have available. And you get to choose, you can experiment and do the things that feel right, feel best for you. So I am Salena. I am the self care alchemist for Salyana Essentials and the founder of. Okay, let me start again. I'm Salena. I'm the self care alchemist. I'm a wellness coach and the founder of Salyana Essentials and your guide on the Burnout Diaries. And so this series began from my own healing journey and it continues on. The goal is to be able to help women and men to be able to navigate their journey, navigate life, especially as it relates to experiencing stress and recovering from burnout. And so that is my goal in sharing my story. In closing, I ask that you subscribe to the Burnout Diaries. This is a weekly series where I share healing tips and I offer ways to be able to come back home to yourself. So, if you know anyone that is running on empty, share this series with them. Share and subscribe. And it's not about surviving, it really is finding ways to be able to thrive and one day get into the point of where it becomes freedom. Thank you.